All right. Good evening, everyone. I'll just share my screen right away. Share screen. All right, please, just to confirm, can you see my screen? Please, I'd like to know.
I can see your screen.
Okay. All right. So just we've covered all of this. Just quick recap. I said last week what HTML is a hypertext markup programming hypertext markup language. It's not a programming language. Okay. So you just use it to tell browsers to structure the kind of web pages that you visit. Simply put, you use HTML to build websites, okay? And then for the structure of a HTML document, you have the doc type HTML and then the HTML where everything, the HTML element where everything is inside, okay? Including the head element and the body element. All right. Then talked about the syntax of HTML elements. We talked about tags, elements, and attributes. And if you can remember what I said attributes are, for instance, attributes give more details to a particular element. Okay. Then we talked about semantic HTML. Of course, you can see the definition there. And moving on. So this is where we are going to continue from today. We have to talk about links, we have to talk about images, and then we are going to move to CSS. All right. I didn't talk about links last week, and I didn't talk about working with images. So we're going to do this as fast as possible, and then we'll start our CSS class. All right. That said, I want you to open your Visual Studio Code. I want you to open your Visual Studio Code. I want to show you something very quickly. Well, at least for those who have their laptops with them. So just please, in case you are currently tuned in and you don't have your laptop with you and you cannot follow live what I'm doing, um, please, when I share the class, just do well to catch up and not just catch up by watching. Okay, actually write code, actually follow, every instruction, write where you need to write. Okay, complete everything that you need to complete, and because that's the only way you can improve. Okay, at the end of the day, what you want is improvement, what you want is consistency. You should be able to see your progress. All right, so um I'm excited that you're here. You get to work on two amazing projects which we are going to start on Friday or Monday depending. So, just not to waste our time on writing the HTML document structure, Visual Studio Code has already helped you with some shortcuts to just trash that as fast as possible. All right. But before we do that, I want us to install an extension. If you noticed last week when we were writing HTML code, whenever we saved, we have to go back to the browser to refresh the page before we can actually see the changes that we have made on our HTML document. So instead of going back to always refresh, saving and refresh, um, I want us to install an extension. So VS Code has something called extensions, and you are going to see it when you click on this last icon on the left. Okay, so once you click on this extension button, you're going to see some extensions. I already have some extensions installed, but you don't have to worry about this. What I want you to install is this. So you see an extension called live server. So just search in this search bar, search for live server. All right, you're going to see it here. I have it installed already, so it's already showing these two buttons. But if you don't have it installed, what you're going to see is disable and uninstall. Disable and uninstall. Okay, so sorry, what you're going to see is install. I beg your pardon. So just click on the install button. It's going to install for like say 1 minute or less. When you install it, you can restart your Visual Studio Code so that everything is updated. All right, and then once we have that, you can come to your index or HTML, and once just type HTML, you can see some recommendations here. Click on the one that has the colon and 5. All right, and then you're going to get your HTML document structure. This was what I showed you guys in the last class on Monday. Okay, then you can change the title to say my first, or just type hello world. Hello world. Once you save it, you are going to see um if you come down here. Okay, this is live already. Let me close it. If you come down here, you are going to see this go live. All right, you can click on this go live to go live, or right click and you see all these options, and then you see open with live server. All right, and once you click on open with live server, it has opened. Of course, it's now running the HTML browser. So now I don't have to always refresh my page anytime I make changes to my HTML documents. Okay, this is very, very important for your productivity. Those 2 seconds, 3 seconds that you need to, use to refresh is time. All right, and as web developers, we are all about productivity. Let me just show you an example of what I'm saying. So if I type h1, my name is Clinton. If I go back, you see I did not have to refresh my page. If I type a paragraph, I am a front end developer. I've saved it, and then once I go, it's already there. Um I don't have to refresh my browser. All right, so I'm happy that we've done that. Let me know if you have. Let me see how many people are tuned in. Okay, just Aini, have you done it?
Nah, I haven't done it.
Are you doing it?
I think so.
Okay, um that's for that. Let's move on back to my slides. No, not CSS. I think I did not finish my semantic HTML last week. I didn't talk about text level. uh all right, let me just trash this very quickly. Text level, I only have 3 here, but there are more. This is an example of a text level semantic HTML. This h1 is an example of text level HTML. So, and there are 6 types of header elements. There are 6 types of HTML header elements. So we have H1, we have H2. So if I just type Clinton, we have H3. Let me just type a different word. You have H4, you have H5, and then you have H6, and you have saved it. If I come here, I think I'm going to create another tab. Okay, So now this is H1, and the more you go down each level, the smaller the font size. The more you go down each level, the smaller the font size. So this is H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. All right. So now that's a text level HTML element. Then you have span. You have the span element. On in our last class, I told you about the div element. The div element is a block level HTML element, and what I mean by block level is um, every time you create a new div, you are breaking into a new line. Okay, so just for instance, I'm going to have a div here and say my name is Clinton, and another div here, my surname is this. So you can see that it broke into another line, and that's because the div element is a block level element. All right. Now you have another text level element called span. So now if I change this div to span, if I change the div to span, you see that everything is on the same line. It doesn't break into a new line. You see that? And that's because the span element is a text level element. So you always use span when you want to style a specific aspect of a text. And so maybe I have my name is Clinton, and I want this Clinton to appear in a different way. Okay, so I can span, use the span element, and then style this differently. Say style color red. So you can see it there. All right, you can add multiple styles. I'm going to talk about CSS in this class, so um not we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. So I'm just showing you that the span element is a text level element, and then the div element is a block level element. Okay, so there are other text level elements. You have strong, you have this, and you have the break line break element. Okay, so let's assume that I'm using span. Let me type this again. So let's assume that I'm using span, but I am a web developer to fall into another line. I think I said this in the last class. So I use the line break single element, or a single tag. I beg your pardon. I use the line break single tag to break the line. So I've saved this. Once I go back there, it's already in a new line. All right. So this is just how to differentiate between block level elements and then text level elements under the general overview of semantic HTML. Okay. And I think I should say this here. Most of the things that I'm going to teach you as introductory aspects of the class are the things that we are going to use to build the projects. Okay. Most of what I'm going to teach are the things that we're going to use to build the projects. I'm not teaching you and I'm not giving you an extended course on HTML or an extensive course on CSS. All right. I'm teaching you what we are going to use to build a project. So there are different things that I'm still not going to talk about, but I'm going to cover the basics. I'm going to cover everything that I think you need to know to get started with. Okay. So as a web developer, you also need to do your own research. You need to, go further into the language, read more, read blogs, read articles, you know, just just learn more on your own. Okay. As a teacher, I'm just going to teach you about 30 to 40%. Okay, you get creative on your own when you do your own research and um, get better at it. All right. So specifically, I'm going to cover most of the things that we're going to use to build a project, while helping you understand how the languages and the tools work in themselves. Okay. So that is for that. Then you have this, cover this. So now let's talk about links. Almost any website that you are going to see, almost any website that you are going to see has links in it. You can't build a website without links. All right. So right now I'm going to teach you how links work, how you can understanding the href attributes, learning the target property, and then navigating to a specific part of the page. So let's get right into it. Open your text editor. All right, we are there. So what I want to show you is what we call the anchor tag. We use the anchor tag to create links. So let me write a comment here. Oh, I didn't talk about comments. So this is a comment here. This is a comment in HTML. All right. Why do we write comments? We use comments to give more information about your code. Maybe you want to explain what part of your code is doing, what a particular part of your code is doing, what the section of your code achieves. You can write a comment. Or another reason why you actually use comments is for debugging. All right, but I'm not going to go into that. When you start writing programming languages more, you're going to see the usefulness of that. But for a HTML, this is how we write comments. All right, so to show you how the links work, so you write the href equals to, then where the URL, that's where you want the particular link to go to. Okay, and then your text. What do you want to show? They say this is a link. So let's just make it hash. This is a link. I've saved it. So let's go there. So you can see it. Let me break it. Let me break it. Just use a div. All right. So you can see my link there. It's right here. So I can specify this link to go to anywhere. So say I want the link to take me to um say getstarted.com.ng. Let me just add the protocol. Say I want the link to take me here. All I need to do is specify the URL inside the href. What is this called? An attribute, right? Is an attribute. So with the href attribute, I specify the URL of the link, and then once I've saved now. If I go back there, if I click this link, it's going to take me to the website. So I just did. So I'm there. Okay, you can go back. Now, if I want this link to open a new tag, that's where the target property comes into play. So now, this is the target, all right? So if I say by default, this is the default target. So that's why you don't have to put it. So with the underscore self value in the target attribute, it opens the link in the same window or in the same tab. I've refreshed. If I click on this link, you see it still in the same tab. But if I specify a blank tag underscore blank, now it opens the link in a new tab. So if I click on this link, it opens a new tab. Can you see that? So that is very, very important. So now, how do we navigate to a specific part of the page? I've shown you how you can navigate to an external page. I've shown you how you can open a new tab. Okay. Now, how do you navigate to a specific part of the page? Now, let me show you. This is also very important. I used it in this Get Started website. Let me show you an example of how that works. So if I click on this Y, it links me to a specific part of this same page. As you can see, if you click on projects, it takes you to the projects page. All right. So let me show you how. And then if you watch the URL, you can see where I am, hashtag projects. For every single link that I click, hashtag curriculum, you see it here. All right. So let me show you how you can do this with HTML. So let me create different sections so that you can see how it works. I'm going to create a section. I'm pretty sure you remember how to do this. So I'm going to do it as fast as possible. Say H1. Let me add this very quickly. Okay. I want to create another section and call this H2 section 2. Let me start this one different. I'm going to explain all these things. So just in case you don't understand, it's fine. I'm going to come back to it. Okay. So H3, say this is section 3. Say style, color. Let's just say red. All right. Now I want to take this link to section 3. This is a link to section 3. I want to take this link up. So back here, my body, then you have this. So let's see how it looks now. So this is the link, right? And I want this link to take me to section 3. All you need to do is add an ID attribute. Add an ID attribute and give it your name. Say section 3. So now I've created an ID with section 3. Now to link this section 3 to link this anchor tag here to section 3, all I need to do, I'm going to remove this blank so it doesn't open in a new tab. All I need to do is in my href, I start with the hashtag and say section 3. Now what this does is it takes me to section 3, still on this same page. Okay, so I've refreshed or I've saved. Now if I click on this link, what will happen? I'm actually in section 3, but because of the viewport, it's not adding more space. Let me add more space. Let me just copy this, not this. Let me copy this and add it down and add another one. just so you can
There's
see.
something wrong with the screen. Screen is
Okay,
blinking.
come again. My screen
I
is
think the screen is
blinking.
blinking. Yes.
How? Okay, is it fine now?
It's still blinking. Like to show the href there, to go away. And to come back again to go away.
Okay, let me stop sharing and share again. Okay, how is it now?
It's blank.
It's blank.
Yes.
Can you see the code?
At all.
Oh, really? Oh, how does that work? Oh, it's actually blank. As for blue, it's showing a blue color, yeah?
It's just blank, like blank. Like nothing is showing.
What's showing now?
Oh,
What's showing now? Can you hear me? Aini? Aini?
yes, man.
What's showing now?
Still blank. Or let me leave the class and join. Let me see if it's for my side.
Is it? Oh, okay. Okay. Please do that. Let's try that. Adija, please, what can you see? Adija, please, what can you see? I don't know. I just need response so I know what to do.
Okay, I can see your screen.
Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, all right, all right, all right. So I stopped at linking to a specific part of the page, all right, where I said just with the ID attributes which I added here, or let me add this to the last item. This is my web page. Let me add it to the last item. So okay, no, to still show the last viewport. Anyway, so I've created an ID here with the section 3 value, all right, or with a value of section 3. And then I've created an anchor tag here, which is a link to take me there. All right, and this is the href attribute. What happens if I do it without the hashtag? I've saved it. Let's see what happens. It doesn't do anything. All right, actually, what it is trying to do is take me to this link. Is actually looking for an index or HTML, okay, inside a section 3 folder. This is a long discourse and I don't want to go there. That's why I says cannot get. So to actually solve that, let me clear out this, right? So this is what I have. If I change it back to hashtag, which is how it is meant to be done, I've saved. If I go back, can you see this is section 3? All right, take me to section 3. Let me show you again. That's taking me to section 3. So this is how to navigate to a specific part of the page. All right, you can create multiple pages, okay, as in many websites, and you want to another thing I want to show you now is how to link to another page inside the same folder or directory. So what I want you to do is, I don't know if you have created a folder for this course. If you haven't, on your desktop, please create a folder called Get Started Lectures or something. All right, and then just create a folder here. You can also see it. That's where I'm already there in my VS Code. So what I want to do now is create a new file and call it about.html. Okay, about.html. So not to waste time in the document structure, all I need to do is this. A shorter way of doing it is if I press the shift button with the exclamation mark, just click on the first one and then you have it. So about us. Actually, let me even say this. VS Code is so powerful. VS Code is so powerful. There are lots of shortcuts that help you improve your productivity. All right. Maybe as we go along the course and build our project, I'm going to be showing you a lot of those things. Okay. So that you can master them. Another thing you can do is just Google search and just search for shortcuts in VS Code and how I can improve my productivity on VS Code. And voila, you have what you need. So this is another page called about.html. All right, and I'm basically just going to create a section and say h1 all you need to know about me. Now I have it here. So I have another page. You can as well create as many pages you want, maybe a contact page, a services page, or whatever. Just create another page and then back to your index or html. Now you want this. Let's create another link. Let's create another link and call it, just so that it's in a block level and so that it appears in the next line, and I don't use the line break. I'm going to create um a div. I'm going to create a div and then I'm going to create the anchor element there. So I close it and say about me. We will come here and create, add the href attributes. Now I want this to take me to, in fact, VS Code is already what? So I want it to take me to about.html. All I need to do is just type about.html. And I want it to open a new tab. What do I do? Target attributes underscore blank. Okay. So I've saved. Once I go back to this place, so all you need to know about me, once I click this link, it opens a new tab and shows me this. Voila, amazing. So this is basically all you need to know about links, how links work. So I've shown you um, how to link to another page in your working directory, how to link to a particular section in the same page, how to link to an external link or URL altogether, how to open a new tab using the anchor tag or using the target attribute on the anchor tag. That's amazing. So far, so good. Now I want to show you how to work with images. I don't know if you've ever seen a website without an image before. As next, I don't know if you've ever seen a website without an image. Images make websites really attractive. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to embed an image, how to describe an image. All right, this should be description. And then just HTML width and height attributes just to set the width and the height of the image. So let's get an image from pexels.com. Go to this link, you can create a new tab and then type pexels.com, and let's just search for images in nature category. Okay, so now to add an image back to your code, just leave this open and then we're going to come back to it. Okay, this is already um messy. So let's work with the about page, about the HTML. So now you need to add an image to a website. How do you do that? There is an HTML attribute which is a single tag. Let's say an HTML attribute, an HTML element which is a single tag called img. Okay, now to specify where I want the image to come from, you use the source attribute. Okay, so once you type the source attribute, now I can paste maybe an image in my current directory, or I can collect an image from anywhere just with a link and then work with it here. All right, so now let's go to this link that we went to before, and then let's get this image. Copy the image address. Copy the image address as you can see here. Okay, or copy link, whatever. Copy link address, copy image address. Let's copy link address. All right, now come here in the source attributes, just paste it there. Save your work, go back to the about page. Oh, you didn't get it. So let's copy image address, paste. All right, I pasted the wrong image address. So copy the image address, save your work, and come back to the about page, and voila, you have your image. Okay, so this is the basic way of working with an image. Now something happened when I pasted the wrong image address. Let me show it to you again. Let me just paste the wrong image address, paste it here. Now my image is not showing. Okay, how do I describe what should be displayed when either the image link is faulty or is broken, or maybe it doesn't find the image and it's not, for one reason or the other, it's not showing? There's something called the alt attribute. Okay, the alt attribute. So what it does is it describes an alternative text to the image. All right, what should be shown in case the image is not found. All right, so with this attribute, let's just say this is an image. If you save it, of course, remember the link is broken and there's no image on that link. So you can see the text showing here, this is an image. This is important for search engine. This is important for screen readers. Okay, maybe you have a screen reader, or someone is visiting your website with a screen reader, all right, and the image is not found. What it is going to actually say to him is, this is an image. Okay, now let's get back the proper link to the image. Copy image address and come here and you save it. I've saved it. Come back to about us. Voila. So I want to reduce the height of this image and possibly the width of the image. Say it's too big or it's too small. You can do that with the width attributes. So say width 100. You can see that it has changed the width of the image. say height 500. So it increased the height of the image and the width of the image is 100. Okay, I can increase the width of the image. Let's make it equal 500, 500. And there you have this. You can increase it more to as much as you can. So this is the fundamental way of working with images. So you have a website, you want to add an image to your website. All you need to do, add your image element, specify the source, that is where you want to get the image from, and um, specify an alternative text to be displayed. Now you may ask, what if I actually just want to add this image from a working directory I have? So remember, we are working with this directory here, get started lectures. So let's add the image from here. Okay, so I'm going to get an image from pictures. Let me use this copy text or copy. I go back, I come here, I paste. Let me just be fine boy. All right, so I have an image. Okay, so if I come back here, this is getting the image from an external source, right? So now to add the image from my working directory, remember the image is here. This is the image here. Okay, all I need to do is add the image. Fine. It is very important that you add the correct extension of the image. All right, is it a JPG image? Is it a PNG image? Is it an SVG? These things are important. So if it is wrong, if it doesn't find it, it's not going to show the image. This is, let me specify a proper alternative text. This is a fine boy. Okay, so if I come back here, this is a fine boy because the extension of the image is wrong. Okay, so if I change this back from PNG to JPG, my VS Code is already recommending it for me, and that's amazing. So this is my image. So I can reduce this to 300 by 300, and voila, you have the image. You can add multiple images, and I want you to do that on your own. Maybe download an image from pexels.com and then integrate it right into your code and see if it works. You may also want to get the image from a folder. So let's create a folder here called assets. Now I'm going to add this image into that folder. All right, so now I should not see my image here anymore. It's gone. So all I need to do is come back to my code. VS Code will recommend this already. Anyway, assets, type assets slash fine boy. It's getting the image already. So it should be there now. Okay, so now I've taught you the fundamentals of HTML, and I'm about to get started with fundamentals of CSS. Our time is almost up, so I may not finish the CSS lectures because CSS is huge. Okay, so wherever I stop today, I'm definitely going to continue from there next on Friday. But there's something I specifically wanted to teach on Friday so that we can get started with our project on Monday. Okay, so let me now put it here now in case you have anything once you're catching up with the course, you have a question, you have an inquiry, whatever it is, please don't hesitate to ask me. Okay, I'm always available to attend to you, always available to attend to you. So if you have a question, always ask. Okay, ask on the group, I'll give my response so that every single person can benefit from your question. All right, so that said, let's get into CSS, we are done with HTML. Okay, I'm going to send these notes to you, even though the note specifically was to help me. Okay, I'm still going to send it across to you. Um, just so that you know everything that we covered, everything I expected us to cover. And if you have questions again, you can ask. So now, just for feedback purposes, do you have any question? Do you have any challenge? Just so that I know. Do you have any question? Do you have any challenge? Okay. I will assume the silence means no. Okay. Fundamentals of CSS. I'm excited about CSS because if you check our code, everything that we have done just looks very, very lame. So I'm going to show it to you. Everything we have done looks lame. I didn't put a link to take me back to home here. So I'm going to give you the task to do it. So pause whatever you're watching and try to add a link here that is going to take you back to the home page. So I'm going to give you 5 seconds to do that. 5 seconds. You can pause the video. Okay, I'm assuming that you have done it. So just in case you did not get it right, you add links with the anchor tags. So now make sure you're on the about.html page. Okay. So just all you need to know about me after this, I'm going to create a new div. You don't have to create a new div. All you need to do is to just add the anchor tag called anchor tag. Okay. And then you close it because it's an opening and closing tag. Okay. It's not a single tag. So href take me to index.html. Okay, now I say home. Okay, home is what is going to be displayed there. So if I say take me back home, it's going to take me back to index.html. In fact, there's something I'm going to show you now. So I've saved it so I can see the home here. Once I click it, it takes me back home. Okay, now what if I want it to take me to section 3 from about.html? Remember, in our home, there's a link that takes us to section 3, right? So now what if I want this link here to take me straight to section 3? So I'm going to give you 5 seconds again to try that challenge. Let the home link take you to section 3 right from the about.html. 5 seconds. Okay, I'm hoping you've done the challenge. So this is the about.html. All I need to do is, okay, I'm going to create another link and call this home section 3. And then instead of just index.html, just add hashtag section 3. So if I go back home, I have section 3 here, this link. It takes me straight to section 3, as you can see right here. Okay, so that's that. Just something extra to um, improve your understanding of how links work. Okay, so yes, I wanted to show you everything on this page looks very, very lame. I'm going to show you a proper example, and I'm going to use a project that I've already worked on, and that is for this project. Okay, I just want to show you something very amazing. So I'm going to start this now. Go live. So this is actually one of the projects we are going to build. Like I said, I've already built it here. Okay. So now I'm going to take away everything that has to do with CSS. So you see something amazing. So I'm going to take out the CSS. By the way, this is the code we are going to write. So get ready. Okay. This is just to whet your appetite. Okay. So now I'm taking away the CSS. I've saved. Let's go back. Now look at how that thing that was beautiful. Just look how it looks. This is what you can see. So this is just the HTML. We've written something like this here already. Okay, even though not as elaborate, but something similar. So you can see how amazing CSS is. CSS helps you give styling to HTML elements. So let me bring back my CSS. This is so a risky move. So I'm bringing back my CSS. I'll save. Now the amazing stuff now looks like this, as you can see. So you see what CSS helps to achieve. Okay, so now I'm back to the slides. So what's in this lecture? What are we going to talk about? I'm going to talk about selectors. I'm going to talk about specificity. I'm going to talk about spacing. I'm going to talk about backgrounds. I'm going to talk about borders as well. Okay. Selectors. By selectors, I mean how do you pick a HTML element? How do you select the HTML element you want to style? By specificity, I'm talking about the order of precedence when it comes to style sheet or styling a HTML element. By spacing, I mean things like margin, things like padding, and then we are going to cover the CSS box model in the spacing, and then we're going to talk about borders, how to add, like the name suggests, borders to particular sections of your code, and then backgrounds. How do you add a background image? How do you position background image? Okay, so these are the things that we're going to talk about, and like I said, this is not an extensive course on CSS. Okay, and so you can do more study on it after this course. Okay, improve your understanding of it, work on something with it. Okay, I'll be so glad to see your progress. Okay, so like I said in the first lecture, whatever you do, please do well to share your progress with me. Okay, I'll be very, very grateful for that. So what is CSS? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. Okay, that's just the full meaning of CSS. Cascading Style Sheet. It is used to describe how HTML elements should appear on a screen. Okay, with CSS, you can specify how you want your HTML element to appear on a mobile device, how you want that same HTML element to appear on a tablet device, and then how you want it to appear on a desktop device. And mobile responsiveness is an important part of CSS. We are going to cover it when we are building our second project. Okay, the first project we are going to build is not going to be mobile responsive, but the second one is a more robust project. So we're going to add mobile responsiveness to that. Okay. So now, how do we integrate CSS into our code? Now there are three ways. There are three ways to integrate CSS into your code. First of all, you have the inline styling. We've done inline styling already in this course. You have the internal styling, and then I'm going to show you how to do that. And then we have the external styling. Styling, however it is pronounced. So now let's come to, I'm going to close this now. Let's come to our index of HTML, what we've been working on before. All right. So I'm going to show you the internal styling. I'm going to show you the inline styling, and then I'm going to show you the external styling. Okay. So I'm going to take out these three things. I'm leaving section 3. This is section 2. So let me see how this looks. Let me reduce the font size of this from 10 to 5, from 5 to 3. So this is what we have. Okay, actually this thing here is called inline styling. Okay, so to add an inline style, you add the style attributes to the HTML element. To add an inline styling, you add the style attributes to the HTML element. So I'm going to add a border to this element. This is my page. I'm going to add a border to that. So this is it, right? This is my web page. To just to demonstrate inline styling. All right. So I'm going to add style, and then I'm going to add border. Don't worry about whatever I write. It's just to demonstrate inline styling. Okay. I'm going to teach you about border later in the course. So you have border 1 pixels solid red. I've been using red a lot. Let me use green. So you can see there's a border here. Let me add another style. So when it comes to CSS, there are things that you need to understand. Okay, this thing here is called the border. Sorry, it's called the property. Okay, and everything that appears after the colon or semicolon. This is colon. Yes, my English skills is not going to disappoint me. Everything that appear after the colon is called property value. It's called value. Okay, so you have your property and your value. You have your property and your value. Okay, and then you end your styling with a semicolon. So let's say I want to add another style called say margin top. Let's add 20 pixels. If I save it, it has added my margin here. Okay, so this is how you do inline styling. So let's talk about internal styling. So to add internal styling, you come to your head elements. This element here, you come here and then you add the style element, closing and opening and closing tag, closes. Now anything you want to style in this web page, you can write it here. Everything you want to style in this web page, you can write it here. So let's say I want all the color of my links. This is my link here. Say I want the color of my links to be um what color do I use that will stand out? The color of my links, I want it to be okay, just any color. So I'm going to pick or select my anchor tag, okay, which is this A. I'm going to select my anchor tag and then I add a curly brace or curly braces. I press my enter. I want all my anchor tags to have the color of what color will stand out? Let's use this blue violet. I want all the color of my links to be this. I've saved. You can see it. This is my link here. The color has changed. All right. So let me add something else. Let's increase the font size of the link. So you add the font size property and write say 10 pixels. You end with what? Your semicolon. You save, you go back, you see it's smaller. If I make it 20 pixels, it's bigger. If I make it 30, just to emphasize the point, is bigger yet again. Okay, so I selected all everything that has the anchor tag and I changed the color to blue violet, right? Which is this. If I change the color of the anchor tag again to say I change the color to carded blue. Just selecting VS Code colors here. You can see that the color has changed, right? It does not affect anything in the about page. So if I go back to the about page, these are my links. It does not affect any of it. Okay, and that's because this is internal CSS. So say I want to remove all my inline CSS. Okay, so now I want to add, remember this is a section, this is a section, and this is a section. I want all my sections to have a border, and I'm going to remove this inline style here. So all I need to do is inside here, I come to my section, I add it. Okay, remember you type the element name, curly braces, border 1 pixels, solid, and let's say black. Okay, so now you can see all my sections have borders. Now I want to add some spacing between each of them, or some margin. So all I need to do is specify margin top. Let me use margin top and say 20, or let's make it bigger so it's obvious, 50 pixels. So now you can see there's space in here, there's space in here. Okay, so now this is how you work with internal styling. Now you want to add an external style sheet. An external style sheet, so that now what's the benefit of external style sheet? You want different aspects of your pages. Maybe you have index.html, you have about.html, you have services.html, and you have contact.html. Okay, and you want your one style sheet to appear or affect every single HTML element in all of these pages. All you need to do is to create an external style sheet and link it from all of your HTML pages, and you are good to go. Okay, so how does that work? So we are going to come to our working directory here and create a new file called style.css. It ends with the extension CSS. Okay, that's the file name. You save it. Now this is a CSS file. All right, now how do I link this CSS file? Before I do that, let me copy the same thing here. Everything that I've written inside here, copy and paste. And I'm going to remove it from here. Now this is another place where comments can work. Okay, another place where comments can work. So if I comment everything out in CSS, this is how you write comments: / and asterisk, and then asterisk and /. This is a multi-line comment. There's something else called single line comments. All I need to do is add. Okay, CSS is it works the same way. In JavaScript it's different. So I'm going to delete this now. If I save, you see that I can't see any of my styles. Okay, I can't see any of my styles here, and that's because I have not connected this index.html to my style sheet. Remember, I have these styles here: styles for my link and styles for my sections. So how do I connect this index.html to style.css? To do that, you come to your head element. Okay, you come to your head element, and then we are going to take off this style here. You add the link property. You add the link property with VS Code. You can see some recommendations for you. All right, so you can see that they are already telling you colon CSS, right? Just so you know how it works. All right, so if you come here and you add your link, So all I need to do is add my rel and call it style sheet, and then href, and then call it style.css. I've saved it. If I come back here, you can see it has added it. If I come to the about page, I have links here, it's not showing. So I'm going to give you the task. So in 5 seconds, I want you to link your about page to um, the external CSS that we just created. So I'm giving you 5 seconds to do that. Remember what will happen. Your link is going to change because there's style sheet, there's a styling for it there in the style sheet. Okay, so 5 seconds, just achieve that as fast as you can. Okay, I'm expecting or I'm believing that you have done that. So if you come to the about page, in the head element, remember, all I need to do is type link, is a single line tag. So we end it with a forward slash rel, we call it style sheet, and then href, you call it style.css. I even also have a section. So this is what is this going to do? It's going to add a border to this section, and it's going to change the color of these two links. Is that going to happen? Just so we are sure, I'm going to add a line break here. So I've saved it, and let's see what happens. So this is my about page. You can see that. Okay. You can add a margin to your image, but we're going to come to that when we are talking about spacing. Okay, so now that's all about integrating CSS to your code. Okay, integrating CSS to your code. So now let's talk about CSS selectors. Oh, our time is gone, but we have to do this. Let me see how many people are tuned in. Still just Isaac. So Isaac, do you have any question?
No question.
Okay. Um. So let's talk about CSS selectors. So to apply CSS to an element, you need to know how to select it, or you need to select it. Okay. Now there are a couple of ways that CSS helps us to
That's my pen and watch. Yeah.
hello. Uh, let me just mute you. Okay. Okay. So sorry for the brief distraction. To apply CSS to an element, you need to select it. CSS provides you with a number of different ways to do this. So there are probably more than this, but these are the major ways, and we are going to use each and every one of these in the project that we are going to build. Okay, so to select an element, so there's something called the universal selector. The universal selector, and let me show you how it works. So this is our HTML page, right? This is our HTML page. Let me demonstrate the universal selector to you. So come now, we are going to work primarily with the external CSS. Okay, you can delete all of this. That's fulfilled its purpose. So this is the universal selector here. The asterisk sign. So this asterisk sign here is called the universal selector. So what this does is it selects every single thing in your HTML file and sets the color to blue. Okay, let's see what happens. So you come and you see, this is, I was going to explain, I'm going to explain why this is red in the next topic called specificity. Okay, just take note that I selected everything to set it to color blue, and then this one has a style color of red and it did not change to blue. Okay, but now I'm going to take it out and then come back, and you see every single thing in my HTML document is blue in color, and that is the universal selector. That is the universal selector. So the second selector is the type selector. The type selector, and that's what we use right before now, and that's what we've been using. So the type selector is you are selecting the name of the element itself. So you want to select everything that has everything that is a section, or everything that is H1, or everything that is a paragraph. Maybe you have a paragraph. This is section 2. Add a paragraph here and say, let me just use lorem text. So I've added this paragraph here, add another one here. Okay, so you may want to select section or H2 or P, whatever. So let me show you the type selector. So this is the universal selector. I'm going to comment it so that you know. Universal selector, the type selector. So now I'm going to select my section, curly braces, remember, add a border of 1 pixels solid red. So now it's going to change my section and add the border of this. Okay, so now you see it has selected all my section. Now still that, let's add a margin, a top margin, a margin top of 10 pixels. Okay, so you can see the margin here. Okay, now this is the type selector. You are selecting based on the name of the element. Okay, I can select everything that is H1 if I have a H1 element, and change the color to red. No, let's not use red. Let's use green. Now this is the H1, is green. Now when we talk about specificity, remember I have a universal selector here and set the color to blue. Okay, when we're talking about selector, I'm going to tell you why this is green. Selectors have points. Okay, and then I'm going to explain why this is green and some other things for you. Okay, so now let me change the color of my paragraphs, or let me just add, let me make it bold, a font weight of bold. So my paragraphs are bold. Change the color to black instead of blue. Color black. Right? So this is all you need to know about type selector. You are selecting based on the name of the element, as you can see. Please, if you have any question, do well to stop me at any point, and I will be sure to attend to that. What's the next? Class selector. This is one of the most fundamental ways of actually styling HTML elements. Okay, most HTML and CSS frameworks primarily work this way. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we are talking about class selectors now. Yeah, what we're going to do is add a class to this body. Okay, we're going to add a class and set the name to my body. My body. Okay, now how do I target this my body class in my external style sheet? One thing I could do is, of course, use the general selector. All right, something else I could do is I've already given it a class name, and the name of the class is my body, right? So I come to my style sheet, and then using the dot operator, I just type a full stop, and then I type the name of the class. So what do I want to do? Add a padding to the body of 50 pixels. Before I show you what will happen, let's check the updated of our code. So this is what our code looks like now, right? Take a look at the spacing here and watch what will happen now. So I'm going to uncomment this. You can see it's quite obvious, right? It's quite obvious. So, and that's because I've used the class selector. I start it with the full stop, and then I type the name of the class. I add the property and the value. The property and the value. So let's add another class. Let's change this blue to this, only this blue, right? Let's change it to red or something else, purple or so. So this is it, right? So I'm going to add, okay, I'm going to remove this here. I already have an inline style here, right? So I'm going to take this out. This will reduce the size. Okay, so add my class name and change it to section header. All right, this is the name of my class. All right, I'm going to copy this. I come to my style sheet. I add the dots, the name, and then I'm changing the font size to 5 rem. You can see it's bigger now. I can reduce it to 3. So it's not changing any other thing. It's only changing anything that has the class name of section header. So now I'm going to change or add the section header class to this section 3 here. So I'm adding the class name of section header. And if you come here, you see it is the same size with this. So now that's the class selector. Okay, and that's how it works. So you can play around this, add a class name to another element, or maybe create another element itself, add a class name to it, and then add a styling for that specifically. So just that's a challenge for you. Just do something around that on your own. Of course, we are going to do a more collective one when we start working on the project. So, but just to start getting used to how it works and start getting used to it, you can do that. Okay. So that's for the class selector. You have the ID selector. You have the ID selector. We have an ID already here, right? Where's our ID? Section 3. This is the ID. So now I want to style only this section because this entire section has an ID of 3, of section 3, right? So I'm going to copy this ID name. I come to my style.css. I come here. For class selector, you start with the dots. And remember, when we were linking, how do you start anything that starts with ID? Use the hashtag. Use the hashtag. So I paste the name, open the braces. Let's add a padding inside that section of 50 pixels. So you're going to see what will happen. But before you see it, I'm going to show you how it looks right now, just so the difference will be obvious. Now take a look at this box here. Take a look at this box here and watch what will happen when I remove the comment here. So I've saved. Oh, it was section 3. Better. So you can see this is the one that has the ID of section 3, right? So let me remove it again. So you just see the obvious difference. So you can see there's no spacing around, right? There's no spacing around. So if I come back here, so you can see that. Okay. So now that's for ID selectors. Now there are other ways to select HTML elements like grouping selectors and combinators. All right, grouping selectors and combinators. And how do you group selectors? Now, I have a H1. If you come to your index of HTML, we have a H1 tag. Where is that? Where is my H1? Okay, here. You have a H1 here. You have a H2 here, right? And you have a H3 here, as you can see. Now, I want every header, every of my header to have the same style. I want every of my header to have the same style. What do I do? So permit me to remove this class. I'll just add a comment here. Okay. So now remember, my H1 has the color of green. All right. So what I want to do is make all my headers to have the color of green. So all I'm going to do is come here, H1. For grouping selectors, you separate it with a comma. Okay, so H1, H2, H3. Okay, if you have other headers and you want it to have the same style, consistent all through your project, so you can group them just separated by a comma. Okay, so once you have this done, you save your work. So you see what is going to happen is anything that has H1, H2 or H3 is going to change the color to green. So let's see if that happens. So you can see this is my H1 green, this is my H2 green, and this is my H3 green. Okay? And then you have combinators. Combinators is a complex way of selecting HTML elements that you want to style. Okay? Now I want to style this paragraph that is inside this section. Sorry, that is inside. There's an overall div here, of course, called section, right? I'm sure you know that. So I want to style this one specifically. How do I do that? And this is what you need to do. So now permit me, I'm going to add a comment here to my paragraph. So it has done this. And this is what you need to do for combinators. I have this paragraph inside my section. All right. So what it's going to do is it is going to um, style every single paragraph that comes immediately after a section. So you can also find a paragraph here right after a section, right? So it's going to apply the same style that it applies here to this one. So let's see how it works. So if you come to your selector, add your section, and then you use this greater than sign and then paragraph. So let's change the color of that to black. Remember it was blue before, so it has changed it to black just so it's more obvious. I'm going to increase the font size to 5 rem. That's too big. Let's use 2 rem. Still too big, but it's fine. So you can see that, right? So it has styled. Now if I take out this paragraph here and maybe add a div before that paragraph, let's add a div here and add the paragraph. It's not going to, this particular style that I just wrote here, section to P, is not going to work for that one, for this one. So you see this is different from this, right? So now how do I get this one? All I need to do is my section, the paragraph comes inside a div. The div is the parent of the paragraph. All right, that's the actual name for it, parent and child element. Okay, so you have section, you have div, and then you have paragraph. So it's going to look for a paragraph inside a div, inside a section. Okay, curly braces, change the color to black, and of course change the font size to 2 rem. So now you can see it has applied it. Okay, So now that's all about selectors. In our next class, in our next class, we are going to talk about specificity, spacing, borders, backgrounds, and if we have time, we are going to talk about layouts. Okay, layout was supposed to be lecture for Friday. Okay, but our time is fast spent, so I'm going to talk about specificity. I'm going to talk about spacing. I'm going to talk about borders. I'm going to talk about backgrounds, and then if our time permits us, we are going to talk about flexbox. Okay, if we don't talk about flexbox on Friday, we are going to create another class next week, just so that we are going to complete everything that we need to complete. Okay, so I want to believe that you've learned a thing or two today. Please do well to catch up on the class if you need to. I'm going to stop the recording now. Okay, so please do well to